As far back as I can remember, I dreamt of a normal life. A life filled with normal things. A life where monsters don't live in closets or under the bed. A life where ghosts aren't real. I just wanted to be normal. But that didn't happen. It wasn't meant to be. Since my early 20s, I have experienced profound paranormal events that would change my life. Extreme poltergeist activity, living amongst those that have departed this earth in ways unimaginable. It has affected my loved ones and children with no end in sight. I could hear things, see things, and feel things not of this world. I asked myself if this was a gift or a curse. With the help of my mother and close friends, I emerged a paranormal investigator. Since 2013, I have been on a relentless journey to learn about the paranormal. This is my time to share my journey with you. Welcome to my Paranormal Soapbox. Hello, and welcome to my Paranormal Soapbox. I'm your host and friendly neighborhood ghost hunter, Justin Brown, and we are presenting episode 51 tonight, and the topic will be the ethics concerning ITC. Is it okay to publicly address a deceased person, claim that you're communicating with them, knowing that those people that we're releasing publicly can get to the ears of their family members, their friends, especially if they're well known? Okay? That is what we're going to be talking about tonight. It's been a hot topic for the last couple weeks, and a lot of you watching may know why. If you're not watching, well, there's certain people in the paranormal field that have large followings that use the deaths of celebrities and well-known public figures as clickbait for their ghost box sessions on YouTube, Facebook, and all other social media platforms. And this is a very important topic. It comes up, every now and again. And my goal tonight is to not try to call anybody out. I want to be civil, and I just want to have an intelligent conversation about what are the black areas, the white areas, and the gray areas. We're going to, we'll address the white and black of this topic right off the rip. But there's gray areas I do want to bring up because I feel like sometimes I'm not always thinking about these things. We release public videos all the time, and we do try to, see if we can communicate with the other side. Of course, we don't know who we're contacting, at least as far as interface death is concerned, and other circles that I follow. You can never be sure or have any proof of who we think that we're contacting. Even if we could validate such things, which rarely, if ever, happens. Is it ethical to do that? When we go to these places, are we exploiting these people that have passed? Are we using the fact that they've passed and they're haunting this location for our entertainment and our media, or even possibly monetization and even money at the end of it? Some of it's blatant. Some people use it and exploit the dead blatantly. Some don't do it purposely but end up doing it. And those are the gray areas that I want to definitely talk about. So I want to thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you very much. Please feel free to share. If you want to be part of the show and be shouted out, at least say hi or put something down in the comments section, and we'll do that momentarily. We're going to go over to the Derek and Missy tonight. Their videos feeds all messed up on my screen, but bear with me. We'll drop Missy down here, leave Derek up there. So are you ready, guys?
We are ready.
Right.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. Let's get this going.
Yeah, Jess has family issues tonight to deal with. I shouldn't say issues. She is doing family matters tonight, so we have Derek helping out. And if you have any questions, if you have any comments, we'll get to them. Derek and Missy will help me read those off, and we'll get those answers. Feel free to engage in respectful and classy communication through the chat. You can cross chat, through Facebook and YouTube by watching the main video screen. So you don't only have to talk on the platform you're on. You can talk to the others as well. I encourage that. So thanks for joining. Share this video, and let's get to it, guys. Every once in a while, this topic comes up. If you are, deeply rooted into the paranormal community and you see, what goes on social media, there's a big thing about when a celebrity passes away. A lot of ITC researchers claim that they can just dial up these spirits and communicate with them, and they make public videos of it. Sometimes I hear back from these family members that come across these videos and they're outraged. Okay. And this is why I want to tell you a story. Early on in my ITC research, me and my wife believed that a family member of hers was trying to communicate with us. Well, once we found out, and Christy was, sure that this was the case, we went full blown into it. We used EVP, we used ghost boxes, we did everything we can to try to get communication to happen. And what we were doing was we were wanting to put our stuff out there publicly. And once other family members found out about it, they don't agree with our, what our beliefs are, and they didn't think it was right that we put that stuff out there. Even though it was 40 years, almost 50 years ago, it's still a touchy subject. And that is the greatest point I can bring up. Even though we had the best intentions of not only trying to find more information surrounding this mysterious death in Christy's family, we were just trying to make contact with them because, it felt like that entity and that spirit came to us. It's not like we went and ghost hunted him or fished for him. He came to us first. But the fact that other family members did not appreciate us putting that stuff out there publicly, we had to pull back. And at first, I did not understand. But after, doing it since 2013, I have to realize that I have to respect the dead through other people, the people that they're close to. So there's a line. What are you trying to do? At the same time, we were trying to create media for our paranormal research. And I'm just going to call it how it is. People like us are trying to create media. Yes, we're trying to do good things, respectful things, but we're creating media. And when it comes to the point where you go to a location or you're doing this type of paranormal field research, you have to consider that the public media that you put out there, how it's going to affect them and why you should care about that. It's obvious why you should care about that. If you care about the family members, if you care about the person that's deceased, then you need to allow your ethics and your morality to be priority. If you have something good, bring it to the family that are open to it. Don't publicize it. We'll just leave that situation there. There's been other times where I've visited a haunted location. It's a pay and play location. There was, suicides and deaths allegedly at the place that we backed up. On the YouTube channel, family members would come on outraged. Okay. They didn't believe what we were doing. They were pissed. So even if you go to a haunted location who give you tours and tell you about the deaths of these people, you're still going to enrage and upset people out there. And it's going to happen. And the best thing that I have considered and thought about doing was just to edit out or beep out the names. Keep the evidence, but just beep out the names. Do not release that. So that way you cover your ass. No one can tell you that you're, disrespecting or exploiting or doing anything else, And another point of this is letting people know what your intentions are up front and tell them that, you've learned from mistakes, you've learned from experience. You're not trying to disrespect. You're not trying to upset people. You're just trying to investigate. You're trying to do research. That's a good disclaimer to have, either on your website or your videos or any of your social media posts, in the descriptions of your pages and blog posts and all that. That should be in there. Always, state that, this is just a theory. This is just an idea. We cannot validate or prove any of this to be anyone, so this is stuff that we should consider all the time. I don't care how notorious and how popular the haunted location is. If you're starting to address individuals' names, they're going to have family out there. They're going to have friends out there. They're going to have something to say and a certain way to feel about it. As long as you're trying to be respectful to those people, you should be fine. Putting their names in there. I mean, I was just on a radio show with John and Debbie Holiday on Paranormal King Radio, addressing this issue and calling out certain people that do this time and time again. And I'm just going to be really blunt with you. If you're part of a community that jumps on every dead celebrity and throws it on YouTube just for clicks and just for views, you're a horrible person. Okay? Not only are you not skeptical about any of these sessions and any of this stuff that they call evidence, you should be. If you promote any of this, if you believe any of this blindly, you should be ashamed of yourself. And here's why. A lot of this is never peer reviewed. They put these videos up. They don't give you the raw data. They always give it to you edited and, shined up and fancied up. Sometimes they make it scary. Sometimes they sensationalize it. You should always have some type of peer review, okay? You should say, I don't know if this is what it is. What do you think it is? You should be able to question everything, pick everything apart, and at the end of the day, if you cannot explain it, or if it's unknown, if you have any doubt, throw it out, okay? That's what credible paranormal investigators do. Now, the gray areas are, I do not do this and follow this code of conduct perfectly. I try to, but everybody's imperfect, right? So when we go out to these locations, every time we go out, we're going to try to be perfect. I'm going to try more and more to be better. And that's how I'm going to start this off. I can't wait to see what everyone thinks about these situations. Missy, do you want to start shouting out people on Facebook?
Sure. I have Bill Davis. I have Janet Pennington. I have Josh Bender. I have Heather Elliott. I have Christy Brown. I have Nelson. I have Tia Baker. I have Becky Compton. I have Paul Welch. I have Valerie Wright. I have Jenny. I don't even know how to pronounce her last name. And I have Sandy Griffith. Josh said, "Sun's out, guns out." Someone wanted you to explain your wardrobe.
Who wants me to explain my wardrobe?
Why the heck you're wearing that shirt?
Well, I like the shirt. It's a newer shirt I bought maybe like a month ago, and it's getting summer out, so I wore it, and I wore it out to my daughter's softball game. I had to come straight from a softball game straight to here, so I couldn't dress, I guess, the way you would. If I'm not presentable, I'm sorry, but I'm not exactly trying to impress or follow a dress code on the show, so I don't know. You guys not like the shirt, Derek, Missy? Is it bad?
It's fine. I don't care.
Okay.
Paul Welch said the shirt looks comfy.
Yeah, it is comfy.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's all you had, Missy?
Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Derek? Who's going on over there on YouTube?
Okay, we got Viva La Melissa was on. I think she's still there. Truth Paranormal, Dilly Dander, myself, Jess jumped on, General 7 was on, John Cool, and Supernatural Lost Adventures, and that is it.
Any questions?
No, not really questions. Let me see. Mainly what they're talking about is the subject that you brought up about, the monetization, get YouTube hits and views. John Cool did mention, he said, I'm in a situation with our local news station who want to do a story, and I will only do it as long as they do not release the names associated with the story. So, see, he's even going as far as to cover up the names of the people involved because they want, the news is going to put it out there for everybody to see. Jim's kind of going on and talking about the same thing and how it's wrong not to give passed away family members any time to grieve. And then, she brought up for like promos and video stuff like that. If you got a guy that's in the promo that you're communicating with, say it's a male, why not use just the first initial, Mr. H or something like that, instead of bleeping out the name.
Right. Sometimes I just use first names, but if it's like recent and I know that the media I put out there is probably going to reach the person that knows them, then I will do something. I'll bleep out their name or beep out any information that might upset somebody. And then I think you're covered. Right. I got to reset my my video. Hold on. Just give me 1 minute.
Cool.
Sometimes it does that. Okay.
They're kind of just doing a lot of talking back and forth amongst themselves and kind of not really asking questions but giving comments and stuff like that.
I see you, Melissa. I appreciate you jumping on it. Your support is awesome. We are very glad that you enjoy what we're doing here. And what do you think, guys? Do you think this has run rampant in the paranormal field? Like, everybody's out there trying to get these ghost boxes and telephones to the dead, and they're, we're talking to the ghosts. I know me and you, both did ITC research with ghost boxes and EVP, but primarily with the ghost boxes. How much has your guys' skepticism increased, since you met me and started doing work with Interface Death?
A lot.
Why?
Well, I used to use it a lot when we first started out. I used to use it all the time, sweep on FM constantly, and pick up stuff. And I would say probably after 2 investigations with you, after the Elliott Hotel, that was kind of one of the big ones. We used it quite a bit, and you started explaining a lot of stuff, like the chirping sounds and the different things that were coming through. And the more you listen to it and the more you experiment with it, and hell, you bring it home, set it on the table, turn it on, and just listen to it to see what it's going to pick up. And you're like, wait a minute, you can listen to an SB7, an SB11, any spirit box model that's on the market, and even probably some of the hacked radios that they use. And if you're listening to a channel and you're sweeping through radio frequencies, you can actually listen to it and you can pick out the radio stations because it carries a tune. It's got certain notes, certain pitches, certain changes. You can hear the voices in it. If you're in tune to audio, any type of audio, when you hear the voice come through, if it's got a certain tone to it or a certain pitch or a certain resonance, you know what it is. You can tell it's a radio DJ. It's a song playing. It's a commercial. Commercials have a certain sound. And I've gotten really good at kind of picking that stuff out to where I can listen to it and be like, that's radio, or that's the DJ talking. I've never honestly been able to say that I've gotten something to a spirit box that I could say was actually a spirit communicating with me or anybody else. It's always stuff that, if it comes through that box, why doesn't it come through any other device that you have except for that box?
Yeah, and I don't want to spend too much time on it because I want to kind of get into the ethics, but I thought this is a great point as far as the skepticism should go. Um, so yeah, we turn it, if we turn the thing on, we just play white noise. If we don't get anything, we don't get anything. But the reason this stuff's so popular is people don't want to sit there and watch videos with nothing happening. So the ghost box is born, and the ghost box gets, pumped into a lot of these videos, and it creates entertainment, and it creates stuff for you to, perceive as ghosts talking to you. So there's a lot of people out there are just not going to listen. Do you want to read Paul Welch's comment? I see he's got is there anybody before him, Missy, or see he's got a comment there that I want. Do you see it?
Yeah. Nothing worth reading. I mean, we were just talking amongst ourselves. Paul said, I often worry if the person performing the session using their application is that they have full control over the audio banks in their app. Nothing stops them from adding audio clips they might need for this specific session to create a new APK file. So they just run that locally on their device. So the audio banks used for that session is unique to the device only.
Right. I mean, and Paul is he's a straight up guy. He's just as skeptical as one should be. You have to be. And when you put up these videos, there's no peer review. There's no scrutiny involved into it. They can add files if they want. They can do whatever they want. So,
Becky said, I feel like Justin should say, let's get ready to rumble.
Let's get ready to rumble.
But
I gotta come up with a wrestling bit.
Right. I have an actual question of my own.
Okay.
So what if the spirit that you're communicating with gives you his name?
I think that's fine. I think the issue that I know the issue I'm bringing up is putting it in the video, making it public, and throwing it out there.
Right.
And I think that this work is good, but if you're working with a client and they're asking you to do that, that's one thing. You work out with them whether they want it to be public or not. If you get a name, that's great. That's awesome. Try to validate it, try to cross-check it, and have something to back it up. But there's nothing wrong with that. My beef is when people exploit and use it for their media.
Right. Can you read Bill's question?
Paranormal. Which one?
Paranormal reporter. It's the last question.
Parma near your town? No, I've never heard of a town in Ohio named Parma. Sorry. Google it. I know, Melissa. Yeah, you can read off some of these on YouTube, Derek, if you want to. I seen Melissa's.
Yeah, I've got a couple. Supernatural Lost Adventure said, yes, this field is growing. I've become a lot more skeptical in the field because of the science aspect. It's all experimental until science can explain it. Just his opinion, which I told him, he's kind of on the right track. A lot of people don't want to go that way because, it takes a lot of money and time to explain it that way. But then once it's explained, then they kind of like, I was wrong. People don't like being wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Joe Vitale said, why would a dead celebrity talk to somebody that they don't even know or care about? If somebody I didn't know tried to contact me, I'm not talking at all. I don't know who they are, and I don't care about them.
Especially a rape porn videographer that used to sell, fake Supplements?
Mhm.
Good question. Good question, Joe. The answer is they wouldn't.
Right. And then Melissa come on and said, I've used it many times, referring to a spirit box, and have gotten some good responses. But honestly, I know people use it thinking that they get full voices, but radio very badly, and think to themselves, oh my God. And then to go along with that, she said, Ghost Adventures plays this off the whole blowing evidence out of proportion thing, because they use it all the time. And every time they turn that thing on, within the first 5 seconds, they've got, millions of voices coming through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's my skeptics' problem is people call it evidence, and it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you don't know. It could be something happening, but you don't know because they just take it as face value. You just have to be more objective about it and more skeptical. We are trying to come up with a device that tests a couple theories, but I've talked about before, but we're so busy, we may not get to that very soon. And we're not too worried about it because we're trying to be too busy trying to be an independent film company right now.
Right. Jessica said Parma is near Cleveland. She's been there a lot.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't near me, so good thing she heard of it.
But Bill was actually just being a smartass.
No, he was actually wondering.
No. I told him, I said, Bill, sometimes if I don't understand your question, I think you're being a smartass. And he said, I kind of was.
Yeah, it's 96, 97% of the time, he is.
I know. That's what I like about Bill, though. I guess that's why I spent the last 25 years with Eric.
That's right. So, guys, to kind of wrap a bow around this, I pretty much in the beginning of this video pretty much told my side of it. I mean, do you have anything to add to what you could do or how you would approach this? Because I know that, we go to places, the tour guides and historians tell us things about specific individuals, and then we use that. We'll be like, hey, so-and-so, if you're here, give us a sign. I mean, when is that okay, and when it is it not okay? What do you think, Derek? It's a tough question.
Well, it is kind of tough because you kind of paint yourself in a box. Really, in my opinion on that, if you go to a location and you do a tour with one of the historians, the location owner, or whoever it may be, and they take you through the location, they tell you, okay, right here, this area, you're going to want to try to communicate with so-and-so because they're the most notorious person for being in here, communicating with people, manipulating their equipment, and giving you good responses. At the end of the day, if you release any type of video or audio, whether it be social media, on a DVD, a Blu-ray, or even on a TV show, and it's going to be used for monetization or non-monetization, if it has somebody's name in it, the family member, yes, they can be mad at you because you put that out there. But they also need to lay the blame on the person that took you through the building and stood you in that area and said, this is who you need to contact. This is the name you need to be talking, because this is the person in that hallway, because they were the one that gave you the information. And pretty much when they give you that information, being you sign releases and waivers and everything else, they give you permission to use the information they give you.
Well, they're exploiting it, and they're almost saying that they're kind of handing that exploitation torch off to you. They're saying it's okay for you to actively try to contact these people. And Nelson brought up an interesting, if you want to read his comment, I thought that was worth mentioning.
Sure. Thank you. A location we are investigating this weekend explicitly asked that we not mention the name of one of its remaining occupants because he still has family in the area. That is a reasonable request that we are happy to comply with.
Right. And I know Becky says she don't believe what tour guides say, and you definitely need to do research outside of what the tour guides are going to give you, because a lot of times it's sensationalized, skewed, and outright wrong. Just legends. Even TV shows get things wrong all the time. Um, Real good research is hard, but you should always try.
Paul Welch said, I think it's okay to use names during your research or telling a story about a location through media. It's when we make videos promoting communication of a recent celebrity
Right.
for the sake of views and shock value that I see a problem. I
Right.
don't see a problem with using names that are part of the history of the location.
And I don't either, unless there's, like what Nelson said, there's sometimes they've already ran into an issue about that, but that, in my experience, that's rare. It's not usually an issue. Once every couple of years, I'll get a comment on a YouTube video or a Facebook video saying, hey, you're full of crap, you're this, that, and the other, and they're pretty pissed that you did that. But even still, you need to just try to be careful. Just what I want this live feed to do for you folks tonight, if you weren't already conscious of these things, maybe you'll be more conscious of it now. And once you're more conscious of it, most of you all are great people. You're not wanting to exploit dead. You're not trying to, do that. So the better you become, the safer your karma will be, and the better I think a better person you will be as an investigator as a result of that.
Well, like I ask, what if the entity gives us his name, like at Prospect Place?
Mm-hmm.
We ask what his name was, and he said Sam.
Right.
Which went along with the story that the guide told us. So
Right.
I was like,
yeah, it's a first name, and I think as long as you say, well, we think this says Sam, and we try to tie it to a part of the history, but right. I think you should say, we don't know if this is Sam. It said Sam. It could be someone trolling us on the other side. It could be, some fat man in his mom's 40-year-old basement, essentially saying this shit to us. We just don't know. Right. I think, those are the gray areas. Those are the lines. You can, if you're producing some type of media of your investigation and your thoughts and opinions on all these things, as long as you say that, I am not saying that this is the spirit of this deceased person. I just find it interesting that we think it says Sam, and it correlates with the history of someone who used to live here or was tied to the location or tied to the history somehow. But you, like Derek said, if they're already selling you the ghost lore with people's names in it, they are ultimately responsible for it. They need to know the lines that they shouldn't cross when exploiting certain people. I mean, this should start with them. I do agree with Derek on that. But we have responsibility too to try to be careful. It's touchy. I mean, this is an important topic. I mean, you have to just always be mindful, and if someone does come to you and they are legitimately upset, I'll be the first one to apologize, and I will edit it or take it down if I know it's causing someone real grief and it's causing an issue.
Nelson said the caretaker would not share his name with us, but he shared his name repeatedly in our recordings, which she later confirmed.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, really what we're out there doing is just trying to find stuff, and the publication and the media part of it doesn't really have to be involved. And that's another issue I want to talk about. I mean, me included, I am really into creating media. People like it. I like watching paranormal media. So sometimes we get caught up in that and forget that we are talking about some pretty sensitive issues and, touchy things for people. So if we can somehow shape our desires to continue to create this type of media, we need to constantly evolve and constantly change and go, roll with the punches with these things. I mean, Melissa's in the chat right now. She's one of the co-owners for the Marietta Tour Company. She deals with teaching this type of history with people all the time. She's probably thought about this a lot. I would love to, I see a comment of hers now. I would love to know how she addresses these things. Has she thought about these things? I would love to know more about her thoughts. You can go ahead and read her comment there, Derek.
Yeah, she said that is why all of our tours are specified as haunted history. The research and the people in the history matter. People don't get that. They just want the shock and awe of a ghost hunt.
Right.
100% spot on.
Right. And I hope that's why they liked us, because we were not about that.
Right. I mean,
at all.
On a personal level, for me, when it comes to ITC and stuff like that, if it was somebody out there and they were investigating, say, something associated with my family, if it was a recent death, it would probably be a little touchy, just because it's still fresh. But I would kind of enjoy that, because I would want to hear that or experience that. But then when you go back to like some of the locations that we've been, like the one she was talking about where we got Sam, you go back to how far back that history was, like the 1800s. That's pretty far back. So anybody that knows that location, knows the story, and may be related to that person, if it was me in their shoes, I would be ecstatic to hear that voice say Sam, because that's your ancestors. You're hearing your ancestors speak their voice. If you can validate that's really what it was, and that would be exciting as all get out. If I could hear my ancestors from Seattle, if I could hear their voices on a digital recorder, it would blow my mind. It'd be so cool.
Right.
That kind of stuff's neat. You're able to put yourself back in time and hear, your ancestors speaking to you.
Yeah. I mean, just had a good point. We'll get to that. But, just to continue on with Melissa's point, and our point is, there's always going to be somebody. There may be somebody out there, like in the Putnam family, or somebody that's a distant cousin or distant relative, saying, well, I can't stand the Marietta Tour Company making money off our dead relatives. Where's our freaking money? Or I don't believe in that crap, and they just exploit the dead. I mean, that could happen to any location out there, and I think it does.
Mm-hmm. Right. Now,
I don't think that you can do much about it. Go ahead, Derek.
Jess commented, and she said, this is similar to readings in a way. I've done many and been spot on, but what about the other family members' thoughts and opinions? I've been lucky I haven't had issue with that. So that kind of brings another element into it. When these two are in the building going one-on-one doing readings, how do you approach them when they give a name, or they get a name and they throw it out there? It kind of would go along the same route to take. Yes. with what we're talking about now.
And it doesn't even have to be publicized. A psychic can bring up something bad about somebody, and they're just reporting what they come across, and it may hit someone wrong.
Right.
Like, oh, we don't talk about that in our family, or you shouldn't be talking about someone's personal business.
Right.
So, yeah, you're not even publicizing it. You're just telling one person. Maybe that person's fine, but some other person heard that you said that, and they have a problem with it. So you have to be extremely careful. Kind of set up, a protocol to protect yourself before you go out and do a reading. Okay. Is this family member you're presenting this information trustworthy? How do you think they would react to somebody saying, oh, that person, they used to rape babies? and that was like a family secret or something, you know,
Right.
something crazy like that. Or they molested, you know, Julie when she was 5. You know, that comes up in readings.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And they don't want that stuff broadcast out there for the whole world to hear.
right. So yeah, that's a very similar thing. So you're not using a ghost box, you're not using a device, but you're using a psychic, or a psychic is doing the same thing. I think it applies. I think the same thing applies. You have to be even more careful about that.
Yeah, Melissa said, we do like you guys, but we love sharing the history of these buildings in Marietta because it brings it to life again, and it brings them to life. She said, you can have the paranormal without knowing that you cannot have the paranormal without knowing the history.
Yeah. Just like that goes back to what I'm saying. If you do it right, it's more respectful. If you take the shock and the horror out of it, if you don't let the ghost overshadow the history, like the Marietta, I mean, that is like that, the Putnam family, there's I can't, forgive me, I don't remember the other man's name that was like in the lead. There's a plaque there. He's a lead of the I can't even talk. Help me
Abolitionist.
out. Yeah, the abolitionist. He was, you know, fighting against slavery, you know, and that the Marietta had a place in that history. Okay, that whole family, and it's rumored and thought that the Marietta was used for the Underground Railroad. That's huge. I mean, to keep teaching those things, to revisit that history and explain to generations to come that used to be a thing. These people fought to, you know, abolish it and to vanquish it from our culture. I mean, that's huge. And to be able to go to these places, help them generate revenue, to fix it up, to keep the lights on, to keep it going, to bring people to watch the media, to get them interested in the history, bring them to the location so they can learn the history hands-on. Okay, reading a book is one thing. Going to the location and getting a tour from Melissa or Jessica is about the best thing you can do, right? I mean, I know Derek loves, you know, go to these locations just as much as I do, and hearing about the history and the significance of it. It's a huge part of what we do.
Okay. Paul had a comment that I thought was pretty
Non-trolling.
cool. He said, I investigated the Washoe Club earlier this year, and I got a lot of requests from people knowing I was going there to try to contact Debbie Constantino, but I refused because I thought it wouldn't be right.
Right. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm responding to Melissa. Yeah, I thought it was David, but I was like second guessing myself.
Okay. Heather Elliott wants to know, which is a little off topic, but she said, how does everyone feel about places like former asylums and hospitals that do Halloween attractions, even though they say the money helps with renovations, etc.? Some people are upset by that.
Yeah. I think there's people out there that just like to bitch. And I think there's people out there that have legitimate reasons to be upset. Waverly Hills has a haunted house every Halloween season. I've been through there and seen their props and seen their setup. They don't exploit like dead tuberculosis patients there that I saw. Derek, did you see anything like that?
No, I've never seen anything in the building that would dictate that they do anything of that sort. Their stuff's normal, your average Halloween stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
we've seen props
scary.
of like Frankenstein, vampires,
Right.
scary, you know, ghouly things on the walls, people jumping out at you and scare you. I think that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You're not using the people who died and suffered there. You're not exploiting them.
But see, they also take, and if you pay, I think it's like $25 to go through it per person. Which, I mean, that's a pretty good chunk of change for what you get for a haunted house. But if you pay, I think it's $30, they actually will let you go. You go to the first floor for the haunted house, and then they let you go to the second and third floor and do a flashlight tour like a ghost tour for the extra money. So, they throw that in for people, which is actually pretty cool.
Right. I mean, me personally, I'm glad that these people are getting money to fix these places up. As sad and tragic as Waverly Hills was for a lot of people, it was a beacon of light too. I mean, they were trying to help these people. That is a huge part of our history and a very dark moment in our history. And once you get over that suffering bit, you see it as a gem. You see it shine for what it was. These people did love the place. They felt at home there because, they had some hope. And not everybody, died, even though a lot of people did. A lot of families grew up there and children were there. It wasn't, it's just all about how you look at it. And I'm sure there's places out there that may be exploiting a location based on the people who are claimed or alleged to haunt the place or have passed away there. But I haven't seen that. Let me know in the comments if you've seen like blatant ride out exploiting the dead during a Halloween attraction at a haunted location. Okay, Joe says they have people dressed as nurses, and I do believe people portraying as patients from that hospital. Most haunted locations do run out. Okay, if they do that, that might be crossing the line. Yeah, I've never been to it. But it doesn't surprise me that they do that because they're trying, that's what people are going there. They're essentially giving them what they want. So my opinion on that is that might be crossing the line.
But
that would
is it
piss
not?
people off.
I mean, they do, like he said, ghost tours on the second and third floors.
Mm-hmm.
So wouldn't that be like a form of,
exploitation?
Yeah. Like,
well,
we're going to spark the activity on the second and third floors because you paid to come up here
right.
with this down here.
Right. Yeah. If it was me, I would not dress people up as TB patients and nurses, period. I would not do that at all. And I would not bring thrill seekers into a location to quote unquote spike activity or do whatever. I would not sell a thrill ride at any location whatsoever. I don't care if it brings on $1 trillion and you can fix it all up. I don't care. That's exploiting a situation that's going to upset people. Like if I had somebody that passed away at Waverly Hills or any of these hospitals, asylums, or any place, and I seen people dressing up like they were running around scaring people, I mean, I wouldn't like that. I mean, I don't think that's entertaining at all. When I went to Waverly Hills, I legitimately felt infinitely horrible. And that's not entertainment at all. Wow. Yeah, it's bad. But what do you do? I mean, you can't educate everybody out there. You can't stop Halloween attractions like that. I mean, what can you do? I mean, ultimately it's left up to the location owners to do the right thing. I mean, that's a great question though. That's a great thing to bring up.
Yeah, John Cole just brought up, he said Pennhurst is probably the most controversial place out there. Actual props are used like the real morgue is still in operation in the building.
Oh my God.
Now that's pretty sick. Yeah. Now Melissa said, she commented and she said all that does is get the word out there about the buildings and piques the interest. That interest then becomes a tour. That tour then becomes revenue. Revenue helps the building. It's a business. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, from her standpoint, yeah, I could see why they do it because they're running it as a business. Mm-hmm. And that business generates the revenue to restore the location. Mm-hmm. Once they get the revenue up and they get the location restored to what they want it to be, do they still run that business that way? Maybe not. because they don't need the revenue to restore, they just need revenue to maintain it. So
they would find other projects that were good to put the money into. Like they would hire more staff. Mm-hmm. They would branch out. They have 3 locations over there in Marietta. I mean, they're not going to find out or run out of really good ways to generate revenue without, disrespecting or exploiting anything. Right. I mean, that would be a good problem to have. I just don't think that, that wouldn't happen. I mean, I have no worries about that, but go ahead and read Nelson's.
Okay. He said at our annual data reveal for our, I don't even know how to say that word, historical park, we asked the audience if there were experiments they would be interested in trying. They suggested finding, I don't know, what is that word? How do you say that?
Let me go join us in the investigation. We were fortunate enough to find one who was interested in joining us. I'm not sure what to expect, but I'm excited to try. You will be able to being family belongings that have not been on location for quite some time. However, part of me feels uneasy to be investigating with a family member. Not that we ever do anything this disrespectful. Yeah, Mordecai, I think is how you pronounce that.
Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely feel awkward. I would definitely feel awkward about that. Well, see, that kind of makes it a little bit more personal. You got a family member there. So when
it puts more pressure on you.
Right. It makes it, like, oh crap, what if I do something to piss them off? Or, it's getting real now. Yeah, that makes it weird because you're not worried about offending anybody or doing anything wrong or whatever when it's just you and the crew. Yeah, I would definitely be walking on eggshells during that. Absolutely.
You guys talk about farts too much to include anyone else in the investigation, any of the family members into the investigation.
What?
You guys talk about farts way too much.
You're saying that we're making the spirits there mad because we're talking about farts?
No, I'm saying if you included a family member, you guys talk about weird crap too much to involve a family member.
Yeah, we wouldn't be. We would, how should I put it?
You would be in trouble.
We would tailor our behavior accordingly. Derek says he wouldn't. Derek would be like, "Damn, you smell that, Margaret?"
And Josh is still going to talk about food no matter what. So,
right. So yeah, it's a touchy subject, guys, and we could talk about it for days, months, and years probably. But I know a lot of our followers don't even know about these people who do these dead celebrity exploitation videos. I know some of them know. Joe knows. I'm pretty sure Jen knows. Nelson knows. But Becky and somebody else said they never. I think Sandy Griffith said she never watched the. That's hard to believe. Sandy's like on every freaking live broadcast I see on Facebook.
Becky said it.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, yeah, we need to get back to the Marietta, but I don't know when we'll be able to. We're going to try, Melissa. We're going to try. Is there anything that I didn't bring up, Derek or Missy, that you think that we should talk about before we wrap the show up?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, Derek doesn't think so either. All right, well, thanks for your guys' help. I'm going to start wrapping this show up. Okay, guys. Hopefully you, at any rate, felt like this has placed more emphasis on the topic, and maybe it'll make you a better investigator in person. Okay? But I tell you what, anytime you click on one of these videos and watch it, you're supporting it in a small way. So if you see one of these videos, don't even click on it. Okay? If you're watching a documentary, it just pops up, or you're watching a video and it just pops up, and it's not a clickbait thing, but you see it, some type of exploitation or unethical thing happening, leave a comment. Give them feedback about it. The more and more we try to, promote ethics and the right code of conduct in the paranormal community, that's all we can do, guys. That's all we can do. And I know that this small community here on our live streams and stuff is not going to make the impact that we want in the fashion and the time and the manner that we want, but we can just make a small dent. So I thank you guys for joining us tonight. You guys are very, very kind, and we love you very, very much. Your support means so much to us, and you keep us going, and that's great. It's fantastic. The links in the video description and here on your screen, you can find out how to support us even more. Please consider going to interfacedeath.net and subscribing to the mailing list. Get updates on everything that we do, and you can sign up and get exclusive content. Just go there and find out all the cool stuff that's on there. You can find out all of our social media platforms. If you're watching on YouTube, you can check out the Justin Brown Paranormal Research blog page that we stream from on this show, and you can check out Interface Death on Facebook as well. You can check out Interface Death on Twitter, Instagram, and if you're watching on Facebook, please consider going over to our YouTube channel and subscribing, clicking that notification bell. I mean, it just helps us out, helps the algorithm out. And Patreon, we're going to talk about Patreon here real quick. Patreon.com/support Interface Death is a way to support us even more. If even if it's just $1 a month, it helps keep this content going. It helps us produce video content, documentaries, everything. Without the support of people like Clay Borman, R.J. Murphy, Scotty Fox, Casey Schreiner, Jessica Bias, Paranormal Reporter, Joe Vitelli, General Rogue, Heather Elliott, Cherry Capital Shadow Seekers, the Ghost Guild, Kelly McConkey, Tony Pelosi. Those guys, keep this content going. They make it better, and you can too. So if this is something that you would be interested in, you get rewards and exclusive content for doing that. You get listed as producers, all of our videos. So go check that out, guys. And I'm going to leave it there. Thanks again for watching. Tomorrow night, or Friday night at 11 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be on Horsefly Chronicles. And I pretty much invited everybody on this live stream to that show. It's going to be on Paranormal King Radio at 11 p.m. Please join me. And I think they're just going to interview me. So I would appreciate your support Friday. And you can also vote for the topics of this show if you're a Patreon. Pleasure. Just want to bring that up. You guys have a good evening. If you have not seen some of our new promotions, you can stick around and watch them. You guys have a good night. I bid you farewell. Do you have that drive? That morbid curiosity to explore the darkness? Do you have what it takes to brave the night? You do? Good.
in this room, I'm hearing the train.
I just heard something.
It feels like it's train. Non-stop. I don't know why.
I can feel you still dreaming, teeming with eternal will. I can hear you now, pondering, wandering around somehow.
We know you're here.
What was that?
I heard it.
That was downstairs.
Are you down there? Not afraid. We know what it feels like to walk in the darkness.